the interesting thing with working with like Del and as well with Damon from the Gorillaz, they're both like pure true artists. It's like they channel something and they just bring it out, and like their methods of working are really interesting. It just kind of comes in certain ways. How I got to really know Del was on the first Handsome Boy Modeling School record. We did a couple of songs together on there, one of them being the PJs and one of them being Magnetizing. If you don't know Del, he's like a genius. He knows words and everything, but like I kind of like to think of him as like the Rain Man of genius. Like you meet him, he's mumbling, he's not articulate, he's not whatever, and then like he'll snap right to it and just be like the most clear, articulate guy. So anyway, we were trying to record a song called PJs, a song with Dave from Daylight and Del. And Del's like, yeah, I'm gonna come do it. And Del lives across the bay from me. And so like one day we set up to do it, and like Del never shows up. And I'm like, what happened? You know? And he's like, well, I got on BART, which is like our public transportation system, fell asleep, rode it all the way to the end and all the way back, and he never showed up. And then so like next time Domino or someone picks him up, he comes in the studio and like he's at that time he now he's actually speaks a little bit more, like he opens up just and talking, but then he would mumble more and stuff like that. So you're like, what's he doing? You know, like he just sits in the corner and just mumbling to himself, writing, and like then he's like, okay, I'm ready. And you put him on the mic, and it's the clearest thing you ever heard. And like this is not a story with a punchline, but more just the interesting thing to see the flip of what a guy does when like Del can just turn on his thing. It's just like amazing. I mean, a lot of these guys I work with, it seems like that, like where they just turn it on. Like I did like Gorillaz with Damon, and like we never had any lyrics. Like there was melodic lines, all this stuff, but he would actually do them right when we're about to do the take. Either write a little bit down like on a bag or something, or just do it so it's like all like kind of just not stream of conscious, because it's all coming out of like melodic lines and some notes, but like these guys are just like, they turn it on. It's just so incredible. And like when you work with people like that, when you work with people who aren't like that, you see the difference. You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm mentioning those two not because they're great stories, but because when you see the guy turn on what it is that they turn on, it's like we also like say like Damon's like he's like a living walking ATM. Like a hook just comes out automatically. You know what I mean? It's like that's just how it works. Let's see, for the Gorillaz project, the most interesting stuff was like it was just a really super creative environment. I think when we made that record, we were able to do, and still for the most part able to do like what we were feeling at the time, and like including like we went and recorded that record in Jamaica actually. And here's an interesting tidbit that some people might know, not some people might, it's not like a secret or anything, but like Del never met Damon until like about a year ago, or like 3 or 4 months ago. Del had never met Damon. Like 13 years later or 12 years later, he had never met him. Met the first time in South by Southwest when we did Clint Eastwood at South by Southwest. First time he ever met him.
He see Dave Chappelle. Why he just go like this, just staring at him like that. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
Medtronic was the only guy that got test presses besides Lenny and myself of all the Ultimate Breaks and Beats that came out after we met. So his connection with Ultimate Breaks and Beats is deep.
I remember I was in the dressing room one day and I was like, man, Aaliyah is overrated. And he's like, don't you talk about Aaliyah and her memory, and Aaliyah is a good friend of mine, and if you talk about her again, I'll hit you in your mouth. And I'm like, I'll hit you in your fucking mouth.
I had, the cassettes at the time, so I had a cassette full of beats, and he just rapped. And we just drove around New York. And he impressed the shit out of me, you know what I'm saying? And I was just in disbelief, man, that, we had this new voice that was saying something.